Do you remember those old Halo live action cinematics? The ones for Halo 3 ODST, seeing what a real war-torn world would be like within the Halo universe, from Imperial soldiers to Master Chief to you to even Zealots within the game itself. They were brutal and they were iconic. What about the Halo 2 competitive scene, one of the first esports that really brought Halo into the mainstream itself? Halo 2 and Halo 3 were massive titles that really paved the way for more different looks at what the genre could be in something like Halo Reach, a game that really focused on the community, making new custom community-led projects. Things like custom maps, the Halo Forge Epidemic, early Team Epiphany YouTube videos, looking at these iconic maps like Landslide, Battleship, and numerous linear zombie levels that Halo Reach had from its community. People making so many different game modes for this title, and I remember spending hours and hours playing split screen with my brother and 14 other people getting our Halo Reach fix. But that's all it is, nostalgia. We don't really have that anymore. Halo 4 was fairly well received, but even then it didn't have the same hype or even the same community that Reach and Halo 3 did. Halo 5 decided to go in a completely different direction and decided, look, Call of Duty's doing well, why don't we make Halo like that? Let's remove one of the most iconic modes being split screen co-op campaign, and let's head down the route of live service microtransactions. Let's get as much money from our fan base as possible. We all thought it was the end of Halo, but at least Infinite was going to be something different. And at first it was, but I don't think it's going that way anymore. I think Halo is over, for 343 Industries at least. But there's still maybe one ray of hope. We've seen some fantastic mod videos come out lately. Halo Battlefront for Halo 3. Do you remember the beautiful 2005 Star Wars Battlefront 2, playing in so many custom maps of instant action and galactic conquest? Well, now that is in Halo 3. Yes, the 2007 classic has started to blow up once more for bringing in one of the biggest overhaul mods I've ever seen. Star Wars Battlefront 2 within Halo. The amount of effort and attention to detail that's been put within this mod, from identical maps on Hoth or Geonosis, from AT-ATs and any other vehicles that you'd expect. This is probably the best recreation that we've ever had of Star Wars Battlefront within a game. This really doesn't even feel like Halo. You can even have snow speeders, flying vehicles that act and sound like they're within Star Wars, with all the authentic sound design from the original title.
Hello there.
And of course, it still adds in some of those iconic Halo vehicles. You can mix and match, playing with whatever Star Wars or Halo things that you want, because, well, why not? I mean, look at this. Look how amazing this is. Fighting on the Death Star, fighting within the tunnels of Hoth. I was blown away when I saw this. Halo 3 looks like it's really becoming a title that other games can be ported onto, to use its fantastic Forge and gameplay game modes that Bungie once created. It truly is a sandbox that feels almost infinite, like something like Half-Life 2, a platform that other games can be ported on in order to increase its longevity. But that's all well and good. Halo 3 is known for being a classic alongside Reach and 2. But what about Infinite? That was the Holy Grail. That was supposed to be the savior of the franchise. So what's going on with it? Well, it was actually incredibly popular at its initial launch. We all know the hype behind it, and, well, we all know the real battle that was there. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo had all gone through pretty lackluster previous titles, and they were all releasing a new game at a similar time to try and be that reviver for their own retrospective franchise. And Halo looked like it was coming out on top. Free-to-play multiplayer, a really solid campaign, but there were some issues. No co-op campaign at launch, not even any Forge. Why? Why did they do this? That was one of the most popular things that the classics like Reach had, and they took it out for the big launch. Instead of blowing all the other titles out the water like we thought it would, it just limped across the finish line and then slowly leaked out content for months and months to come. A bit of a disappointment is an understatement. All of this really hurt the reputation for Infinite, and what was once seen as the winner of the FPS battle now had its own fans turning against it. But it wasn't over. 343 was still going ahead. They were still trying to make a difference, bringing out updates, eventually bringing in a full campaign, and of course Forge, which we now have. So surely something's going to come of that. And it actually seems like it is. Some of the infection maps are back, fighting against zombies with a team co-op players, beautiful custom maps and game modes, amazing races. This was one of the most iconic and fun things to do, racing around some custom tracks with your mates, trying not to push each other off or using rockets when needed. Cops and Robbers, a classic back from Halo Reach. I loved that game mode back in the day, and I'm so glad that they brought it back. It really looks like modders are trying to revive this game because they need to. The game is pretty much all but dead, and it seems like despite this attempt to revival, despite the late launch of Forge to try and get people back in, it seems it's just too little too late. Not for the players that stuck around, but for that original hype, that original promise that this was going to be something different, to put Halo back in the limelight of one of the biggest franchises of all time. It had a spectacular 250,000 concurrent players on launch, and that was only on Steam. Yet slowly, as content didn't seem like it was coming, the game started to die. Now, this AAA game that cost hundreds of millions to make by a studio that has had one of the longest runs and owns one of the biggest franchises ever made, has but 2,000 concurrent players on Steam, smaller than a lot of indie games. Of course, this doesn't take into account other platforms, Xbox usually being the most popular with the Halo games, but that is a real sight to see, not even that long after its release. It's such a sad downfall, and I think it's going to take way more than just a few custom maps to bring this title back to life. And this is why I think it's over for 343. They took over from Bungie, Halo being the height of its popularity, and even whilst they've had some successes, it's just been a slow weep for the franchise. Recently we've heard that 343 have started laying off its staff. It's absolutely devastating for people that work there. These are real people losing their jobs, and all because a rushed game that they tried to get out at the same time as Call of Duty and Battlefield, that initially they thought was going to do really well and people were all on board for this new Halo, but they failed. They failed at the next step, which was creating a real hardcore community that Halo Reach, Halo 3, even Halo 2 still have, that still keep those games alive, and that's why the title has dwindled. So for now, it's over for Halo, but I do think modders will continue, and I pray we'll be able to give it a fresh kiss of life, at least at some point in the future.